What if I told you that some of the greatest mysteries of the human soul can only be understood in darkness? Perhaps you've never stopped to think about it, but there's a moment in life when the light disappears, the silence weighs heavily, and everything seems to crumble from within. Have you ever experienced this? Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might surprise you. Centuries ago, a man traversed such profound darkness that his days were marked by imprisonment, torture, and an absolute silence that seemed to devour hope itself. His name was Saint John of the Cross, and it was from this pain, from this dark night of the soul, that one of the most powerful spiritual works of Christianity was born. Imagine someone transforming suffering into poetry, darkness into revelation, emptiness into encounter. While many saw only abandonment, John discovered a hidden path, a secret passage of the soul towards the divine. And now, as you listen to these words, perhaps something within you recognizes this same journey. What follows is not just history, it is a plunge into one of the deepest mysteries of faith. And as you listen to this story, perhaps something inside you will begin to awaken. That silent feeling that, at some point in your life, you too walked through a night that seemed endless. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below about what has touched you the most so far. Sometimes, a simple sharing helps another person who is going through the same path. And if this reflection has already moved you in some way, leave a like as well. This shows that this type of content matters and helps this message reach more people who need to hear it. Oh, and if you want to continue walking with me through these profound stories, subscribe to the channel. Your participation here is what keeps this project alive. It's what makes this space grow and reach more people who seek strength, faith, and meaning in the midst of darkness. Now take a deep breath, because what comes next delves even deeper into this journey. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because before facing prisons and darkness, Saint John of the Cross was just an ordinary young man, raised amidst the simplicity of a Spain marked by poverty and difficult decisions. From an early age, he possessed a different kind of sensitivity, as if he perceived a hidden truth behind things, something the world around him couldn't offer. This inner restlessness propelled him towards a greater journey, a transformation that began silently, but gained strength with each small choice. It was on this path that he met Saint Teresa of Ávila, and this encounter was no coincidence. It was pure impact. She saw in him a rare spiritual brilliance, and her words awakened in John the courage to follow the improbable, to abandon any earthly ambition and immerse himself in a life of total surrender, discipline, contemplative mindset, and profound silence. The decision to enter the Carmelite order was not merely religious. It was a leap into himself, into the backstage of his own soul. The journey of Saint John of the Cross did not take a dark turn because of declared enemies, but because of something far more unexpected: resistance within his own home. When he and Saint Teresa began to propose a reform to restore simplicity, focus, and authenticity to Carmelite life, many saw this transformation as a threat. Instead of making room for change, part of the order reacted with fear, pride, and a rigid mentality, incapable of accepting any deviation from established comfort. The tension began to grow silently, almost like a shadow creeping behind the scenes, until the opposition rose openly, not against a rebel, but against a man who only sought to live the hidden truth of the gospel. And it is here that injustice gains strength. John realizes that the doors are closing, that the decisions taken against him do not come from strangers, but from brothers who begin to see him as a threat. This rupture creates a deep wound and prepares the ground for even more painful revelations. What happens to St. John of the Cross from this point on is not merely a spiritual conflict, it is a real descent into the heart of darkness. After so much inner resistance, he is captured and taken to a tiny cell in Toledo, a space so cramped he could barely move. There was almost no light. The cold seeped into his bones. Hunger was constant, and the whippings. These came as daily reminders that his quest for transformation had too high a price for someone who feared the hidden truth of his reform. Entire months without seeing anyone, without hearing a friendly voice, without receiving even a gesture of compassion. It is in this abyss, in this harsh silence, that something unexpected begins to happen. John transforms pain into divine language. In complete darkness, he writes verses that would later become the dark night of the soul, revelations born from behind the scenes of suffering. It's as if each blow, each humiliation, each endless night opened a secret path within him. And this journey will deepen even further. Comment below, that makes sense to me. After months immersed in that brutal darkness, something within St. John of the Cross began to change. The same cell that intended to destroy him ended up awakening a different mindset within him, almost impossible to explain. He realizes that if he remains there, his mission dies. And it is on this boundary between survival and purpose that one of the boldest decisions of his journey is born. On a silent night, taking advantage of a gap no one imagined existed, John crawls to a tiny window, so small it seemed to deny any hope of escape. But he gets through. With a weak body, he descends the high walls of the convent, feeling the impact of the biting cold of dawn on his face. Each step in the darkness is a revelation, as if the hidden truth he sought throughout his life were now guiding his movements. When he finally achieves freedom, he is not just a man fleeing. He is a soul reborn after traversing his own inner darkness. After escaping that prison that nearly destroyed him, St. John of the Cross returned not merely as a survivor. He returned as someone who had traversed regions of the soul that few dare to confront. This is why his teachings are not theory. They are revelations born from silence, pain, and that emptiness that, at some point, touches us all. The dark night of the soul, which so many people cite today, doesn't speak of abandonment, but of transformation. It's that period when everything seems stagnant, when prayers seem unanswered, when life loses its color. But deep down, something is being purified. John said that God works precisely in these silent backstage areas, where reason cannot reach and where the deepest decisions are made in the dark. That's why millions of people around the world read his writings to understand grief, depression, existential crisis, loss of meaning, and the real possibility of rebirth afterward. The inner journey he describes remains relevant because it speaks directly to the hidden truth within each of us. After leaving a trail of teachings that transformed generations, St. John of the Cross concludes his earthly journey with an impressive serenity. He dies in peace, not because he had an easy life, but because he understood the hidden truth behind the pain. Everything that wounded him ended up shaping a soul capable of seeing meaning where many only see chaos. His writings have spanned centuries because they don't just speak of religion. They speak of mentality, choices, inner revelations, of that silent transformation that happens when no one is looking. John didn't just leave mystical poems. He left a spiritual map for anyone going through their own darkness and trying to find a way out. His message is simple and profound at the same time. If you feel you are walking in a tunnel without light, remember that it is precisely there that God works in silence, shaping everything that will one day flourish. The journey doesn't end in the shadows. It only begins there. If you've made it this far, you can tell this story has touched you in some way. So, before you continue, do one simple thing. Leave a comment saying, "I'm with you until the end." It's the best way for me to know who truly lived this entire journey with me. And if this video resonated with you, please leave a like. It helps keep this space alive and shows that this type of reflection deserves to continue. Oh, and if you want to delve even deeper into these soul-illuminating stories, subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss the next episodes and you can continue building this experience with me. There's a video over here that perfectly complements everything we talked about today. Click and continue with me there.